Hello and welcome to Grandpa's Snippets number 30. And this is going to be a special snippets for the grandkids. Going to be talking the entire time about Grandma. Uh, Grandma would be today, the 31st. She would be 86 years of age. My, hard to believe that. So I just want to share some memories about Grandma and to honor her life. Um, we'll start off with, she told me some stories about different things in her life, and I want to share them with you. And she said one time when she was really, really scared, her, her and her neighborhood friends went to the neighbors behind their house where Shirley lived, and the woman had an apple tray, and the kids started picking the apples. They wanted something to eat, and the woman come out the back door and chased them away and said, "I'm sending the police down here after you." Shirley said she was so scared, it's about 7 years old, that she went and hid in the garage all day long. Man, never came out, but the police never came. So I thought, I can see her doing that. Uh, she loved to go to her grandmother's who lived out in the country, and she would go to grandmother's, and there was always snacks available and things like that, and she enjoyed that. And one thing she really enjoyed was that Grandma would send her and be Laura, which is her grandma's daughter, but it would be Shirley's aunt, your grandma's aunt, and she would send them a mile and a half down the road to a little village and to get a pail of ice cream, and they were to bring it back. They didn't drive; they walked. They walked, but she looked forward to the walk because at the end of the walk, she knew she got a nice, good size ice cream cone. She loved that very much. So she loved the snacks that Grandma gave. So that's the reason why she always made sure that you had popsicles or snacks or cookies or something when you came to see her. She loved her grandparents, and her granddad was a farmer, and he was taking care of his cows, and Shirley went with him one day out into the pasture to take care of the cows or just check on them. And it had been raining that day, and so they were coming back through the wet grass and so forth. And unthinkingly, she reached over and she touched the electric fence, and it grabbed her, wouldn't let her go. And she yelled to her grandpa, and he came over and set her free. So she was thankful that he was around. Shirley was born during the Depression, such as I. She was born in 35, and new things to come by were not that quickly to come by. So her mother took a larger coat and cut it down, and she was probably maybe, I don't know, 5, 6 years old. Cut down a larger coat and hemmed it up for Shirley, and she was so proud of that. She mentioned that about 3 times over the years, that she was so proud that her mother did that for her. Your grandma always looked proper, even around the house. She always looked proper, and I was always proud of her. Never ashamed of her one moment. She was just completely a very nice, well-kept lady, and I appreciated her doing that for others and for myself. Your grandmother had health problems early in life. When she was like third grade, I mean, she was having health problems even before she went to school. And when she went to school during the third grade, she walked about 3 blocks to school, and she walked every day that year and never missed a day of school, even though sometimes when she didn't feel good. So that at the end of the school year, she got a baseball bat, which she was proud of for having unbroken attendance. A year or two later, while she was in school, she came down with lung problems and so forth, had to stay home at least a month. And it was back when doctors made house calls, and a couple times a week, the doctor would come out and check on her and see how she was progressing with her health. So she has always fought her health problems and always got through. And I kind of give that kind of a build up or a background of how she was able to fight through life for so many years and live 84 years when I personally thought sometimes I would lose her when she was a lot younger. So I think she just kind of built her system to give life all she could give it. Yeah, and she did. Uh, when she was young, she always looked forward to going to the church picnics. On the summer, they had the Sunday school picnic, and they went to Stillwater Beach. She loved to swim, but that wasn't the important thing. The important thing was they had ice cold pop, and she could drink all the pop she wanted, and she could have ice cold watermelon. She loved both of those, and so she enjoyed the church picnics. Seems like everything we're talking about has to do with food with her, but in a way, that's what happened. When she was in intermediate school, which would be 7th and 8th grade, she went to school with 4 of the girls. The 5 became very close friends, and they would have slumber parties at Jerry Hunt's house. Well, Jerry's dad, Mr. Hunt, owned the Pepsi distributing company or whatever here in town, and so she would look forward to the slumber parties because she could have all the Pepsi she wanted. So she enjoyed that. I got to bring up another food thing. When I was dating Shirley, it was on the second Christmas we were in. I bought her a cedar chest. I knew that we were planning somewhere in the future to share our lives together, so I bought her a cedar chest so she could tuck away her things for the future. And in there, I gave her a quart of buttermilk and a jar of dill pickles. She loved dill pickles and buttermilk. So I had Santa also include those in the cedar chest. She got me to like and try buttermilk, really. It's kind of amazing, though, as life went on, though, she just kind of got away from buttermilk and never drank it after that. But I saw that Christmas she had. She learned to cook early in life. She was the oldest of 2 girls, and there's about 4 boys, I believe. And so she helped her mom doing the cooking. Well, they had a large family garden, that was for sure, and so she would help in the garden, and then they would do a lot of canning. And since they did not have a basement, they took the canned goods across the highway to wreckers who let them use their cellar, part of their cellar, to store their canned goods. And so Shirley would then come time for food, for the evening meal, or what they would decide what they wanted, and she would be the go-getter. She would go across the highway and get the food and bring it back, and she would help prepare it. And so she turned out to be a pretty good cook. Always complimented her on her food. She did a good job cooking, and I can still remember a couple meals she fixed for me just after we got married. And she just put a lot of effort into it, and just fantastic. And I know the kids always commented that they were always pleased that when they came home from school at noon, which they had an hour, and the school wasn't that far away, 2 or 3 blocks, that she would always have everything prepared and ready on the table for them to eat. And so she did good. She was a good cook, and she always excuse me, I lost my place. We'll go back here again. So she forgive me, we're going to get through this. But anyway, that's probably about the end of that. But anyway, so when she was like 16, she decided that she wanted to go hunting with me. I like to go rabbit hunting. And she'd never gone hunting, and so she wanted to go hunting. And while we were out hunting, she said, I had never shot a gun. She said, I would like to shoot the gun. I said, are you sure? She said, yes. So I helped hold it and get in position. And she fired it, and it was the funniest thing. She fired it, and she never fired it after that. She was satisfied. She had an experience again that she enjoyed. I used to have a pet hamster. He would sit in my shirt pocket, or if I had a coat on, it'd run up and down the inside of the coat sleeve and stick its head out and so forth. I had to coax her to hold the thing. And she said, "No, I'm not holding a rat." She just considered it was a rat. But after a little while, she did. She decided it was time, and she decided to hold it. She wanted to learn to drive, and she asked her dad, and her dad didn't want to teach her because, well, I guess nobody wanted the wear and tear on the car, or he didn't have time. But I said, well, I will teach you. But my mind kept going back to when I first learned to drive. I was going out Brown Pike, and my pastor was teaching me, and he said, turn left. And I didn't slow down enough. I didn't realize I had to slow down a little more. And I went off to the corner, knocked off a fence post, and right into the cornfield. Well, the fence post was just as rotten as could be, so it did no damage to anything. But I said, okay, that's it. I'm not driving anymore. He said, no, I'm going to get this on the road, and you're going to get back to the wheel, and you're going to drive. So I said, okay. Well, so I thought, that kind of went through my mind about maybe Shirley, but no, she did good. I taught her to drive. It was back when, in the 50s, when they had cars that was like 4 on the floor, the stick shift, and you depressed with your left foot the clutch shift, and you had to be kind of in sync, so it worked good. If you were off, you would feel like you were grinding hamburger. Well, she did fine. She didn't grind much hamburger. She ground a little. So a couple times I had to say, no, you're going to continue. You're going to finish the training or the lesson for today. Well, when I got home from the Army, from being in Germany for about 15 months, we wanted to take a second honeymoon, so we went down to Florida. And she said I would drive part of the time. I said, that's okay. So she was driving through Georgia, and it was before much of the interstate, and we were going through different towns and villages and so forth. And we didn't see the speeding sign on this one place at all, and so she was going over the speed limit where it was marked. Well, she got stopped, and the policeman came up to the window, and she said, oh, I'm so sorry, we're on our, and she just explained it away, and he had mercy on her and told her, he just warned her, said, you be careful now, okay. Well, anyway, she wouldn't budge from that spot until I took over and drove, and she never drove any further down, and she didn't drive one bit back. But later in life, she had her own car, and she drove, so bless her heart. Her plan after graduation was to be a good wife and a good mother. All girls back in those days took home economics. And in the 11th grade, she was taking the course. And they had prepare a book, which is this one right here that I have is hers. Had to prepare a scrapbook. And in the scrapbook, they were to lay out their plans for a house layout and furniture and decoration and the colors of everything. So I laid out 4 plans for her, or did, and how she wanted it, and I helped her put it together. And then she had pages where she had put together her coloring schemes and so forth. In the back here, I guess it is, but they're there. And she got an A on it. Teacher wrote her a note and gave her an A on it, and so she did a good job. The interesting thing about the floor plans, it was to a house that we were really moving into when we got married, because I owned a house that I was renting, and so she laid it out according to where we would go. So on there I can see, going back to the plans for my children, where she changed your diapers and where she cooked and where she did it. It's all according to that floor plan. So I thought that was interesting. Grandma never liked to have her picture taken. She was kind of self-conscious. I don't know why. She was so, but anyway, she just liked to have her picture taken. So she was proud of herself because when I was in Germany, she went to Olin Mills. And she went to Olin Mills, and she went to the photographer and had her picture taken and mailed it to me. And I was so proud of it that I kept it right there by my bunk while I was in the Army. This is the picture that she had taken, and I kept it by my bunk. And but she was always very spatial, very nice, but she just was kind of self-confident. She was true to her family, true to me. She prayed a lot for all of you, very, very much for all of you. Over the years, there was one thing that she hungered for a lot. We're talking about food. We talked a lot about physical food. Now we'll talk a little bit about spiritual food. She hungered a lot for God's Word. She would write me letters while I was in college and when I was in the Army and mention where she was in the Scriptures and what was coming out to her and how much God meant to her. She liked her quiet times with God, sometimes in the middle of the night when she couldn't rest. But she liked her quiet times, and she always enjoyed when Ann, her friend, came down and they would have devotions together. So I picture her enjoying a fellowship with Christ in heaven and stopping by his throne and Cheryl by her side and just enjoying meeting people because she enjoyed people. And but she's got all eternity to meet more people, and I know one thing, she'll be so excited when you show up in heaven. She will be so excited. She'll be so pleased. I think we're coming to the close of the memories that I have that I want to share with you. But I wanted to honor your grandma. She would be 86 today and lived a lot longer than we thought. God blessed her with more years, and I thank him for that. I have one more snippet to do, which will come out 1 week after this one, and that will be the last one for the summer. Come out June the 6th, be the last one for the summer, and probably get back with you the middle of September. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you.